Thank you, everybody, for coming and watching and listening to Ignited, the show where people get to talk about how they transform their lives, their mindset, their businesses, and all the areas in which they are just moving from one direction to the next and just making a decision and a change that they believe is going to just better their overall path. And today I'm really excited and honored to have a very special guest who some of you may know from his mixed martial art days in the Octagon, and others might have seen him from fighting in the ring to the fighting for the people and actually being a representation as a mayor in Huntington Beach. But he's moved on and transformed his life and going away from his location in Huntington and in California, actually over to Florida. So there's some exciting directions that he has taken and moving into not fighting so much anymore, but maybe more focusing on family, business, friends, and just an overall better lifestyle, it sounds like. And so today I have Tito Ortiz on the show, and thank you so much for being here and being able to share your story with us.
Well, thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it very much. I'm actually live from here in Miami. I have a couple days off, of course, working every day at the restaurant in Cape Coral, Florida, Tito's Cantina, Tequila Bar and Grill. It's nice to take a little break, get some husband and wife time. So we're a little vacation right now.
Right. Yeah, I love Florida. The weather and water is beautiful and great. It's so nice and warm, and it just sounds like so far you're just having a really great experience.
Yes, you are correct. It's been a big change, just in general for the family, for my kids. You know, I have twin boys that are 14, and for me, it just feels safer. It's a little bit nicer, a little more freedom, and at the same time, it's just being in a town of Cape Coral, Florida. It's just growing so fast. To be there after the hurricane and see the growth that's already done in the last year and a half is just phenomenal. With great community, community's phenomenal. Once again, in Huntington Beach, we had a really good community, but it just people think sideways there, and I just I have a lot of people who did vote for me, who wanted me to make a change in Huntington Beach, and the state didn't want that, and so they attacked me all the way from NBC, ABC, the LA Times, Register, CNN. Everybody attacked me. Even some of the council members on the council are attacking me also. So when they started trying to label me as a white supremacist because I love my country, I love my freedom, I love my faith, and I love my family, that becomes concerning for me and for the safety of my children. And I'd make a big change. It was hard for me, but I made the change, and life's a lot grander. Let me tell you, it's a lot. I don't want to say easier because I still work hard as hell, but it's just everything runs smoother. It's nice for my children in schools. The schools are indoctrinating my kids as they were in California. Of course, Mayor DeSantis has really fought against the woke agenda they're trying to do in California, which they are doing in California. And I seen that happening when I was in city council. It was just, it just seemed like there were so many fires that were just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I had no way to put them out because they attacked me so much.
Yeah. Yeah. And change can be scary for anybody when you're making a big life decision, uprooting your family and then just figuring that there might be the best direction to go. But I think it's once you get there, then you realize, hey, you know what, this was probably a good idea. And then you start encountering some just new environment, new people. Like you said, you just really are enjoying the whole area there, and that you're just describing that there's a lot less friction going on. So sometimes change can be scary, but then at the same time, we start to realize that taking that bold step forward might be something that leads into an even better direction. When we stay planted where we are because it's familiar and comfortable, and maybe the change is too scary, and sometimes people just don't take that leap. And so I think it's pretty amazing that you made that decision, not only for yourself, but for your family.
Yeah, it was really hard. I'm living in Huntington Beach for 47 years and chasing the American dream and making the American dream possible. Having a house on the water, having my boat behind my house, having nice cars, being able to have the lights on, food on the table, clothes on my kids' back. As a kid growing up, I never really had that because my parents, my father, he didn't want to be a father. I get it. My mother worked really hard to give me a second chance. When I got to be a freshman in high school, I found wrestling, and wrestling saved my life. It showed me hard work, showed me dedication. It showed me a lot of sacrifice that I had to make to be a better wrestler. Not only be a better wrestler, be a better student in school, because I had to get good grades to be eligible to wrestle. So it was just, a catch-22 on both sides. It was either I did bad, I was going to do bad, or I did well, and I'm going to do great. And, I look back on it, it's already, it's been 30 or almost 31 years now, or 30 years now. And it's just gone by so fast. But at the same time, I've been able to build myself to the man I am today. My birthday was just last Tuesday. I turned 49 years old, and I don't feel old. I feel wise. I feel like I've gone through a lot in life, and I'm fortunate that I've done it respectably with integrity and worked very hard to give my kids everything I've always wanted as a child.
Right, right. So when you say you giving your children what you wanted, what does that look like as far as you growing up and going into the wrestling direction? Is that something that you're kind of teaching your children now too? Are they following in dad's footsteps?
Well, I have my oldest son, Jacob, who's 21. He is at Arizona State University. He wrestles also. He's a criminal justice psychologist major.
Wow.
So education has been really something that I've wanted to push because my parents never pushed it on me. My twin boys, Jesse and Journey, me and my wife, Amber, we worked so hard to keep their education as high as possible. They're in honor classes and they wrestle also. But I think wrestling teaches a man to be men. It teaches kids to be men. And when I went to Huntington High School, I learned that. And then when I went to Golden West Junior College in Huntington Beach, I became an assistant wrestling coach for Marina High School. And I taught a few of those kids to be men when they went to college and came back. And Coach, thank you so much. You taught me during practice to just pull me aside and give me some advice. It worked out so much in life. And I remember a coach telling me when I was a sophomore in high school, he goes, Tito, if you get through 4 years of college wrestling or of high school wrestling, life's going to be a lot easier for you because you're going to know the dedication, the determination, the sacrifice you have to make to be better, not just as a wrestler, but as a man in general. And I learned a lot of those things, a lot of those aspects in life that helped me tremendously to be a better myself, to better the people in my community and the people that are around me.
Right, right. So it sounds like you're not only taking those extra steps into teaching and guiding your own children, but a lot of youth and a lot of people in general. And I'm sure that, taking your past and the experiences you've had, that wisdom that you've gained, it's really just kind of taken a forefront into moving in towards, helping people. And I know for myself, I enjoy helping people with business and everything as well. And that's just kind of one of the things that I enjoy about this show is getting to be able to just share stories because it helps others, when we can be relating to what other people have gone through and see how they've come out the other side. Do you feel like any time along the way, through the MMA and through, obviously you had mentioned in Huntington Beach, you're getting some friction there, but do you feel like there were some times where you just felt really stuck or maybe things were just a little bit too hard and you were just feeling confused? Maybe there was something where you just didn't know how to make a change or shift.
I don't think I was really ever confused. I was really just frustrated with the pushback I got from the other city council members, from the people who supported those city council members. Driven my whole life, it's always been a red city, very conservative. People love America, and it's always been like that. This has always grown up. 2020 made a big change for the city in general, and they're still fighting back right now. Gracie Vandemart, got Michael Gates. They're working so hard to keep the city. We had a charter city, so we're able to make pretty much our own laws in that city. So, and they're still fighting for right now for not having affordable living in that area. Once again, I'm okay with affordable living, but if you're going to work hard and you're going to want to live in a beautiful place like Huntington Beach, you're going to have to work for it. It shouldn't be affordable where it's low rent, because you bring low rent in and that's going to bring crime in. And not saying low, like people who don't make up money, they're all criminals or they all start crime, but no, there's going to be that influence that comes in, that drugs are going to be coming across and things like that. And it's just, you got to protect the city. And I tried to help and do that. It didn't work. Pretty much, there was a few other things that came about as far as the indoctrination in the schools at the Ocean View School District that they're doing with my kids. To my house being robbed in 2022 in June 1st. They came and they robbed my home. Took me for about $750,000. I was number 9 home of about 110 homes that got hit just in Huntington Beach area in a 9-month period. And they didn't let anybody know until my house got hit. I wish they would have said that because I would have took a little more precautions. But at the same time, just the high level of the thievery that was happening from those people. I mean, they were cutting into my Wi-Fi and getting in and going to my cameras and seeing my audio and my video. They knew when me and my wife were leaving. They knew when we were going to be home. All the way to that, to when after it happened, I went searching for a month through my whole neighborhood every night from 8 p.m. until 4 a.m. every day. Because once again, I own my own business. I do my own stuff, so I can make my own hours, but I want to try to catch these guys. I looked for a whole month straight. Well, I was like, okay, these guys probably went to a different city. I'm going to stop. And the day I stopped, I hit a house the next night. So they were watching me. So they have people out and they're looking. And hopefully now it's changed a lot. Hopefully the officers, because of Governor, Newsom, he's just letting officers not be able to do their job the way they used to be able to do their job. And in Florida, living here, I see the officers doing their job. People don't mess around. There's no homeless population. Yes, there is a couple of them, but they're usually taken care of. And at the same time, the police are able to do their job, and law and order is what this country is truly about and should be.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you feel like now that you're over in Florida, you're getting some more opportunity for just more advanced kind of community, and you get to be a bigger voice at this point?
Yeah, well, it helps out a lot because when people have the same mentality as me, the same mindset as me, it's easier to work with people as a team compared to everybody pushing back to thinking their way is the right way. I'm not saying my way is always the right way, because we got to have that debate, we have the conversation between each other. But at the end of the day, it's nice to shake hands, say, you know what, I was wrong, you were right, you're right or I'm wrong. But business-wise, it's flourishing here. The partners I've been able to meet, I opened my restaurant, Tito's Cantina, Tequila Bar and Grill, and Chris Rowland, who is owner of PetSmarts. I think he has 150 stores. He actually is a phenomenal guy, very well respected, and this will be one of 10 that we're doing. So we're not going to franchise. I'm trying to keep it home as a family business, but we're going to continue doing these and bring authentic Mexican food to Southwest Florida. And so far, so good. We've been open now for 5 months, and it's been nonstop every day. My partner was happy. He didn't know who I was as a fighter. We just met one night at a dinner. We started talking about it. And then the next night we went to go play pool at one of the local bars, and everybody's asking me for photos and pictures and autographs. They're like, who are you? I go, dude, I told you I'm Tito Ortiz. So he looked it up. Then all of a sudden he called a couple of his family members. They're like, you're going to business with Tito Ortiz? Holy moly. So that pretty much was a cushion deal. But then he kind of broke it down to me. He's like, well, Tito, everybody comes in for autographs or pictures. What are you going to give them beyond that? I go, well, we're going to give great food, great service, great drinks. And that's been a home run for us so far. So after 5 months, he pulled me aside, I think last month, and he goes, you're correct, Tito. I told you. Me and my wife, usually on Sundays, we go eat Mexican food all the time. Like in Huntington Beach, they have Mario's. We go to Mario's every Sunday. But in Florida, there's no Mexican food. It's more of a Tex-Mex, Cuban-style food. So bringing authentic Mexican food to Cape Coral, people are they're in love with it. And as I've been in love with Mexican food, so I've always wanted to do this restaurant over the last 20 years. And I put a business proposal, gave it to my partner, and I've been full steam nonstop. I worked the first 160 days straight. My wife called in and called my partner and said, can I have my husband back, please? I was like, babe, I want to work. She goes, I miss you at home. But he understood. He gets it. He goes, you know what? Your hard work, it pays off. It shows. You can kind of show up when you want. So now I do 6 days a week.
So how is the family adjusting to the new surroundings?
They love it. My sons, after our second month even being here, both my boys come out and give me a big hug. Said, Dad, thank you so much. There's no more weirdos in our school. All the kids are really nice. It's like, there's no entitled kids. And yes, there probably is a few in there, but they're fitting perfectly in. The schools are great. The teachers are sticking strictly to the curriculum, only the curriculum. And kids this age right now, they need to be taught the curriculum, only the curriculum. Not worrying about what gender they are. It's very misunderstanding that people think that if you think it's bad for that to happen, that you're a bad person, which is incorrect. Parents should be parents, mothers should be mothers, fathers should be fathers, and have a nuclear family to produce men in this world, to produce powerful women in this world. And that's very important, because if you don't have that and you take the nuclear family out, now the teachers are teaching your kids, and they're teaching their kids everything that you don't think they're teaching them. When I'm here in Florida and I tell people the things that are going on in California, like, no way, that wasn't going on. I go, yes, it's 10 times worse than what they say on the news. And the news, once again, it's a propaganda machine, what they're trying to pitch. And at the same time, I'm thankful for people like you, people on social media, you know, a lot of other people who follow me on Instagram at Tito Ortiz IG, and they see I try to speak the truth. And every time I speak the truth, I get cut down, and it's just hard in these times. It's a very vicious society right now. The separation of race is just amazing. It blows my mind because it really hurts my heart that people think the way they think. But I get it. I understand it. They're turning people into victims so they could be against each other. So if we the people could join together and speak our voice the right way, and all the other ones who do have a huge voice are afraid to say something because afraid they're going to lose their job, or they're afraid they're going to lose extra money. Money isn't everything. At the end of the day, it's about family. It's about this community. It's about our states and this country. It's about the future of this country. And a lot of people need to understand this, because over the last 4 years, the Biden administration hasn't proved anything. They proved they could have open borders. They could prove drugs can continue to flow over, the sex trafficking, the children trafficking, so much stuff that's been brought to people's attention. They're trying to say, well, that's not true. Well, I could be a witness to saying a good 100% of that stuff is true. Just people need to open their eyes, don't let their feelings be hurt about it. And this has been in the works now for the last 30 years. You know, I was a kid who grew up during the Reagan era, and they said communism's only a day away. Well, communism's here now, and it's scary because we're silenced if we speak up, and we're enemies of the state if we speak up. And it's hard. And people say, well, you're a MAGA cult, and I'm like, what are you guys even talking about? This should be about America. This is not about Trump.
Right.
He's a man that stepped up as a billionaire, and he lost $1 billion during his presidency. Look at the last 4 presidents that became presidents. They were $200-300 million earners after that. And to my knowledge, I think they only make $500,000 a year. So, you know, there's a lot of inside trading and inside things that happen. And once again, it's my opinion, but I see the proof of the pudding. You see the facts that happen, everything that goes on in court. It's nice. I got to say this on both sides, because it's nice to be in the little bubble I am living in Cape Coral, Florida. But at the same time, I keep my eyes open to happenings without the whole rest of the United States. What's happening in Texas, what's happening on the border, the things that are happening in different countries like China, Iran, Israel, you know, Gaza, these things that are happening. I have fear in it, just because of the rest of the United States, there are a lot of mistakes that are happening and people are not noticing it. And this election period, this just 2024 election, is the most important election of our history in the United States, plain and simple. I mean, this goes back to 1976. I think in my mind, a lot of people are trying to step up and fight. Just people need to start speaking a little louder, tell everybody else. And once again, there could be dialogue between each other. Your opinion may be different from my opinion, but at the end of the day, hopefully we all care about this country, we care about the future of our children, we care about the law and order in our states and country, our veterans, our military. We just need to be strong where we used to be before. People say, make America great. America's always been great besides these last 4 years. And to see the gas prices, the inflation, the borders, the drugs that are coming over, like I said, the children trafficking, the sex trafficking, the things like this is not what America has ever been about. And things need to change. I hope people wake up. And I don't care if people are Democrats. I don't care if they're Republican. I don't care if they're liberal. At the end of the day, we're Americans, and we need to take care of each other, take care of our families, take care of the people here in this state, because it seems like over this last administration that they've been nonstop taking care of everybody but America.
Right, right. And just based off of everything that you're saying, and for those of us that do know a little bit about you, you've always been a big powerhouse and always had a big voice in trying to just help make things a lot better, you know, because of the philosophies and feelings that you do have for our country, and that you love it and you want to be able to see things get better. So what would you say to people out there that maybe are feeling a little bit nervous or not really sure the direction they can go to have a voice, or even just to be bold enough to make big changes like you have made? How do you think that maybe we could encourage people to, you know, take a step in a certain direction?
Well, I think at the end of the day, I think they look at the facts. They look at the facts of everything around them, of what they think is right and what they think is wrong, and look it up and do their own research. Because all of a sudden, over these last 3 years, people, mainstream media tells people, don't believe what everybody says. Don't fact check anything. Just believe what we say. That's propaganda that's being pitched. I mean, this goes back to, you know, when Hitler did in Germany. He made sure there was a radio in everybody's home, and he did propaganda like this. He put people against people against people against people. Same thing's happening right now. I think people are afraid to speak up. Don't do it alone. Do it with somebody else. Do it with somebody maybe has a stronger voice, a louder voice. But if we all come together and do it as a community, that will make the change, I think. And it's hard. Don't get me wrong. It's hard. I've lost a lot of movies by working in Hollywood, the films I've done before. I have had a film now in the last 2 years, and I was doing at least 4 films a year. But like I say, money's not everything. To me, our freedoms, our liberty, and the future of our children and this country is my number one. You know, I've traveled to Iraq with the USO, 6 different times. I've visited almost every single base in the United States for our military. I have a lot of friends who are special force guys. I have a lot of veteran friends, and their hearts are broken right now because they gave up their lives 15 years of fighting the Iraq war, and they've come to realize it was all about money. A lot of friends were lost because of that, and it was all about money. And at the end of the day, cash is king, but at the same time, we need to get our morals back. We need to get the respect back to this country, and we need to teach our children our men how to be men, and our women how to be strong women. That's what's important. And we have an opportunity to change the society and this generation to be great. I really do. I think, I heard a quote before, hard times make hard people, weak times make weak people. And I think we're getting that spin around right now where hard times hopefully will make hard people and they open their eyes.
Right.
Life's not easy. Life is not easy. Life's very hard. It's been hard since I've been a kid. I've always worked my butt off. I've always done it with integrity. I've always been on time. At the end of the day, I have 2 things the rest of my life. I have my word, and I have my name. I always keep my word, and I always try to keep my name very strong. I'm trying to teach my children the same thing. My children are 14. They've gone through a lot of things in a short amount of time, and they've taken it hand over fist. They're like, we can do this, Dad. We can do this. My oldest son, same thing, Arizona State University. He points out kids like, Dad, you see these kids, and they're just mentally weak. But I'm glad I put him in wrestling because he's able to fight through those things during practice, or fight through those things during cutting weight and dieting, and then finishing with his homework and his grades and keep everything nice. It gives me a little respect, a little value to understand that I'm doing the right thing for my children. So hopefully I'm able to give this advice to other parents of knowing that, giving your kid an iPhone or an iPad when they're 5 years old, that's not the right thing to do. Stephen Jobs said this back in, I believe, 89 or 90, right before he passed. And he says a child shouldn't have a cell phone until it's 14 years old. And my sons, they got their first cell phone when they're 14. It lasted about 2 months. And then we took them away because their grades started dropping. And it's just too much information for a child that young, for their brains and how fast they're growing to get automatic gratification. It should never be automatic gratification. I remember back when I was a kid, when I grew up, and I had to actually learn to get good grades. I had to go to the library. I had to look up things. I had to go on syllabus and look up things. I mean, you had to do those little hard, detailed works to make sure you put in the hard work to get the best thing you possibly good at in life, and that's knowledge. Because knowledge is power.
Right. Absolutely. And would you say that being a business owner now that is just continuing on that path and same mindset for you, that it's just continuously moving in the direction where you're working really hard, you're trying to learn information and apply everything that you learn? And where I'm going with that is that, how do you feel that you can encourage other people that maybe want to start a business or have a business and maybe they're struggling with it, and just kind of changing their mindset to have that same bravery that you have every single day to keep working really hard and just, try to do the right thing?
Well, I've always kind of been a businessman. Even when I fought, I do motivational speaking. I had a clothing company, Punishment Athletics. I did wholesale cars for Mannheim. I did a supplement company. I just knew if I just worked as hard as I possibly could, just kind of put my nose down, clear all the noise around me, and just focus on what my goals needed to be, and literally write my goals down, how I would achieve these goals, and find the final solution and the conclusion to make that goal happen. And I come to realize it's hard work, honesty, and just don't step on anybody, get ahead, and make sure you surround yourself with the same mentality that you have. Surround yourself with good people and people who aren't takers, because there are a lot of takers in this world. And if you find people who are givers, you find out you're going to give to each other and help each other to succeed, to be better people. Now that I'm here in Florida and I opened my restaurant, I've never opened a restaurant ever before. I did a little bit of serving just for a charity event called Waiting for Wishes. So I've always went to a restaurant, and how would I want to be served when I came to a restaurant? that was maybe my mentality, because once again, I've never did a restaurant before. But once I learned, I've always learned things super fast because I put in the hard work. I've always dedicated myself to it. I wrote down my goals. I tried to get my accomplishments down and just check them off one by one and made sure I did it. And of course, ask for advice. That's another thing that I've always had a lot of problems with, because I'm an Aquarius to the T, is asking for help. I don't like to ask for help. Anything. I mean, literally, if I have to find where the restroom is, I don't like to ask for it. I'll look around for it first. Now I've kind of grounded myself, had a little humility of asking for help. At the same time, there's a lot of knowledge out there, people who are older, or maybe people who are younger that have been through harder times as myself. Now that I think about it, I'm almost 50 and I don't feel it. I mean, I feel like I'm like 35, but I've gone through so much stuff that I have so much knowledge to give to people. I'm glad you have shows like this where I'm actually, hopefully somebody can take one little quote from me or one little thing for me of just being a positive person, being a positive person around your environment that you want. If you're in a hostile environment, you become a hostile person and you're always on the defensive mode. And I've been through that situation before. So right now it's just, I'm growing, and it's great because it makes me happy and it makes me flourish and make sure my family, my wife's a hard worker also, but we make sure we spend that time with our family every Sunday. We sit down, the phones are turned off, TVs are turned off. Let's talk about how the week was and how our days were. Or sitting and having dinner just with your family. Like I say, turn the TV off, sit down how old school used to be, and talk about family, talk about life. What are we thankful for? And it's just one of those things, and it's just an old school mentality that I make sure that I want to transfer or pass down to my my kids' generation, and it's important. And since I've been here in Cape, I just started assistant wrestling coach at Ida Baker Wrestling. I did wrestling practice. I did train for high school kids, 3 years at Marina High School. Then I went to Calvary Chapel. I helped one of my friends, Jay Carmen, who was one of my fellow wrestlers when I wrestled in high school, and he was the head coach there. And I go there and give advice and help. And just to watch the kids grow the way they are, I know I'm getting good knowledge, and it's positive reinforcement that kids need. I see a lot of coaches that are very hateful. They yell at kids, they scream at kids. That's not how you get through to them. You need to really sit them down and say, how can we make this better? How can we make this better for everything in general? Just have the mentality so they feel like their gratification's there. And after you have that gratification, a kid will shine and he'll get better. He'll get better in school. He'll get better in wrestling or the sport he plays. But if you try to attack them and try to shut them down, they're going to put up a defensive mode and they're going to stop. And they're going to stop listening. They're going to stop learning. And we can't have that. And like I say, I try to pass that on to my kids. Now my new kids at Ida Baker Wrestling, I have 15 freshmen, I think 12 sophomores, 2 juniors, 2 seniors. So I have a program now that over this next 4 years, I think I'm going to build a very, very tough program at Ida Baker. We just won our first tournament last week. First time ever Ida Baker's ever won a wrestling tournament. So, the athletic director pulled me aside. He's like, what are you feeding these kids? I'm like, knowledge. That's what I'm getting. I'm giving them knowledge. So it's good, man. I'm very, very happy where I am. I'm thankful. God's given me some great blessings. And his name is Jacob. In the Bible, Jacob wrestled against an angel. The angel beat him and saved his life. Well, as a freshman, I found wrestling and it saved my life. So now I'm able to give some advice, some knowledge to kids through wrestling. So everything happens for a reason, and I'm very happy for it.
Absolutely. You could just say that you're feeding them tacos from your cantina. So that's all so great. I'm so happy to hear that you shared all that, because I mean, it's important for everybody to not only know what you are doing these days, but then everybody in the community just knowing furthermore how you're involved and how much more you're advancing. I mean, who knows what direction that could go for the youth and just a lot of, different people in your local area. So I'm very excited for you to see, these things blossom and grow. And, if you want to share with everybody how they can find your business and, be able to reach out to you or just, get a better understanding of everything you're trying to showcase.
Awesome. Thank you. Of course, on my social media, on my Instagram, it's Tito Ortiz, IG. And then for my Cantina, it's Tito's with an S .Cantina. Find all information. If you guys ever come to Southwest Florida, you're welcome to come. You show me you're from Huntington Beach, first drink's on me. I worked really hard through my life, and to sit back now and to be where I am, I do miss Huntington Beach. I don't miss the politics there. I don't miss the schools there. I miss. My mom still lives there. My brother still lives there. So I'm able to go back once in a while. But at the same time, I'm very thankful for the people who did vote for me when I was for city council. But they saw how bad they did me. And I was very lucky that they actually did it to me, because when I was in there and I left the next voting cycle, they voted into 4 right people in there. And I'm very, very, very happy. Mayor now of Huntington Beach, Gracie Van Martin has done a phenomenal job. The district attorney, Michael Gates, done a phenomenal job to protect Huntington Beach. It's such a beautiful city, such a beautiful city. California is such a beautiful state. It's just Newsom is burning it, and he's burning it down. And it's hurtful because I've lived my whole life there. But now being here in Florida, I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful for the community of Cape Coral. Very thankful for the community of Lee County in general. The sheriffs, the police, they're able to do their jobs. There's no crime. There is a little petty crime here and there, but those are young kids. They do what they do as youngsters. I get it. But the community in general is really, really nice. And I wish California could be that same way. Maybe I would come back. But at this point right now, my number one goal is the future of my children, of being A students, going to college, and continue my business of Tito's Cantinas.
That sounds awesome. That is so great. I'm excited to see the direction that all the kids are going to go. I'm sure they're all going to flourish with all of your knowledge and additional help. Well, thank you again so much for coming on and your time today to be on the show. And, I definitely look forward to seeing the advancements that are going to happen for you there in Florida. I know a lot of great things happen in that state all the time. Governor DeSantis is always doing an awesome job there too. So, I'm happy for you and your family. And it sounds like everything is going really well so far. So congratulations. Big move.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody that has been listening and watching to Ignited. Please follow our podcast and us on YouTube. Subscribe, like, share, love, let everybody know about it. Put in some comments. Maybe you felt like there was something you could connect to with Tito today. And if you have any additional questions, you know how to get a hold of him too. And if you're in Florida, make sure to stop by and grab his taco from his cantina.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. You have a great night or day. Great day. God bless. God bless America. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you. God bless you too.
Tito's Cantina Tequila Bar and Grill in Cape Coral has it all, from fresh-made authentic Mexican cuisine to their selection of over 40 tequilas. Brought to you by UFC legend Tito Ortiz. Tito's Cantina is an unforgettable dining experience, from signature dishes to signature drinks, like their chocolate margarita, served in a fun atmosphere. Dine indoors or on their pet-friendly patio. They're open daily for happy hour and dinner, and now open for lunch Thursday through Sunday. Tito's Cantina Tequila Bar and Grill. Mexican done right.